Hey, beautiful mom leaders. Welcome back to Conscious Champagne Chat number 74 today from a rainy day in Germany. I'm in my car waiting for my daughter who's playing handball. And so I thought I'm just going to come on live talking about good grades and bad behavior. And the reason I want to talk about this because it's been a topic really that's come up a lot in the last 2 weeks, I want to say. So there's a lot of moms that are reaching out, really not understanding what's going on with my child. Like the child is acting out. The child is like destroying things. It's being really kind of out of control, very angry, throwing things, maybe damaging things, or even like hurting people. But actually, the child is a really good student. Like, I've had people like even sharing their grades and really sitting there completely lost in understanding how is this possible? Like, how is it possible that my child that is so brilliant at school is completely acting out and losing it at home? And so I thought I'm going to come on here and share my thoughts with you on this because I want you to understand that that's actually not necessarily related to each other, right? Being good at school, being a smart person, being being very intelligent, for example, right? You can, it doesn't mean your intellect doesn't necessarily mean you also have a lot of emotional intelligence, right? You can have an high IQ, but you're actually emotionally struggling. And in fact, if anything, there's quite often a correlation. So my daughter is classified as gifted, but I can tell you because of that, she's also overly sensitive and struggles even more with her emotions because she doesn't understand them. She doesn't know what to do with them. She doesn't know, like she feels overwhelmed by them. And so it happens very often that when kids have good grades, they're actually completely like they're like lost on the emotional side. And in our parents' heads, we don't get it. And so I want you to realize that we as parents are obsessed. We're literally obsessed with teaching. We're obsessed with basically our children to behave well and to be good, right? And so and there's not necessarily something wrong with it, except that what we do is we translate that very often into how well they're doing at school. And so when the kids come home with good grades, we tend to reward them. We tend to praise them. We're really proud because we're like, oh my God, look at my son, look at my daughter. They're doing so fantastic. And we're taking credit for that almost, right? And then if things just go a little bit sideways, it's like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? I feel terrible. Like it's all my fault. Like, why is my child acting out? I'm a terrible mom. And so what I really want you to start separating these things because you can be good at school, but if you're struggling emotionally and if your child struggles with bad behavior, it's a completely different need that you are probably missing out on addressing. What I see often is that children that are excelling in a certain thing, whether that is at school or excelling in sports or excelling in a music instrument, that we as parents are so proud of that. We praise the child so much that the child's identity basically is all attached to me being good at school, to me being an amazing sports person. And so they will act even more and more to get better and better in that because that's how they feel. They are getting the love from their parents. They're getting the love from, their friends, whoever. But they also have other needs we completely fail to see. And that's then shown through bad behavior, for example. Why do you think, you guys, so many people, in particular, when you look in the media industry, like if you just go to Hollywood, look at Hollywood, like how many actors, right? They're so good. They're like excelling in something. Take Heath Ledger, for example. The guy was a brilliant actor and he killed himself at the end of the day. Why? Because often, they're being loved for a certain skill, but they're not being loved for the actual true person that is inside of them. And so when you have a child that is excelling in something, but shows you a lot of bad behavior on the other side, you gotta start paying attention, because that means they're only feeling conditionally respected by you. They're only feeling conditionally loved by you. They only feel you see parts of them, and you only see the parts in them that are like good, that make them excel, that make them be the star, so you can feel good about it. And so if they do that, it's a sign they're screaming for help. They're basically screaming for like, see me for who I really am. I'm not maybe always a good person, because nobody is, quite frankly, right? But what do we tend to do when they show bad behavior? We tend to punish them. We tend to, like, let me give you like a typical teenager example, right? Let's say you catch your daughter, like your teenage daughter, playing iPad in the morning before she goes to school, or late in the evening, in the middle of the night, although you agreed, no devices turn off. So what do? We take their phones away. It's like the first thing. It's like, all right, that's it. No more phone for the rest of the week, or for like 2 weeks or whatever. And so we just see the behavior, and we completely, utterly miss out to go and understand and ask, why was she even doing it in the first place? Because I tell you, there is a need that the child has in that moment. And it could be just, I wanted to be appreciated. So, I needed to connect with my friends, or go on Facebook because I needed appreciation, or I needed entertainment, or I feel lonely. I need distraction, or I don't know how, like, there's a lot of things that could be underlying. But by punishing them, by taking their phone away, you have taught them nothing. And you have helped them with nothing, basically, at the end of the day. So I do really think it's our job to go and say, hey, I get it. I know you really wanted to play on your iPhone before you go to school. I totally get it. I really do. So help me understand what you were after. What were you trying to do? Right? That's the first thing. Like, seek to understand. Don't walk in, be judgmental. Give them a chance to explain themselves. Be curious. And then go. And then you can still go and explain and say, tell them why there is a rule. And also tell them, I get it, you don't have to understand. Like, I have this conversation with my 12-year-old son every day, you guys. He doesn't understand why he can only have an iPad for 30 minutes a day. Of course he doesn't understand. I don't expect him to understand. And I said, look, you don't have to understand, but this is what the science says about how your brain develops. And, my job is to protect you as a parent. You don't have to like it. But this is what it is. So, and then if he still cheats, and if he does it kind of behind my back, then the conversation becomes about trust. And I don't go and punish him right away. You have to help them and ask questions so they realize themselves that what they did was actually not right. Because when they have a self-motivation to realize it, first of all, they see that you really take them serious, that their opinion matters. And then they will help you become part of the solution. They will help you create a solution for you. But we tend to snap and instantly go in and provide the consequence. And then a child feels not heard, not understood. You don't get it anyway. Leave me alone. You don't love me. Whatever, all the things. And so, please, when you have anything like this coming up, when you see a bad behavior, Be curious, seek to understand what's happening. If it's a smaller child, they probably don't even know where they're doing it. Don't think they're doing it intentional. They're doing it on purpose. Children cannot do anything on purpose that intentional until they're like 5, even though we like to think that. They don't. It's our job to go and figure out what they need and then go and give it to them. And if you cannot give it to them, I tell you it is because you're carrying around the same patterns that you had in your childhood. And so you're bringing them on to this area and you're just passing them on. And we are creating the same energeticals in our children that were created in us. You know, I have a friend of mine, she always said we were all raised emotionally retarded. It's very true. We were not allowed to show any emotions, right? It was like, shut up, be quiet, don't be sad, don't cry, don't do this. It was all like the negatives were not accepted. And a way to taking devices away, giving punishment time is basically constantly sending the message to your child, I don't approve of you. I don't like you. And so that's going to really feed into their levels of self-esteem, and your voice becomes their inner voice later on when they're adults. And then when they're adults and they're supposed to go after the big things and, you know, be courageous and confident and all out there, they can't do it. They can't do it. So just watch out, pay attention. It's not just about having the good grades, right? Often what happens, especially with children that are really, really good at something, they will lash out sooner or later. So use it as a sign. Use it to go and work on it. The younger they are and the younger they do that, the more time you have to work with it and work against it, basically. And if you want help, you know, as always, you know, this is an invitation. Come over to the Rapid Anger Relief Mastermind. This is where we teach you exactly how to clear those underlying emotional patterns. Okay, they're emotional patterns. You have to understand your own emotional patterns in order to be able to see and read your child's emotional patterns. And so if you need any help, come on over. The link is in the group. We would love to have you. And let me know when you're here. And I will be seeing you next time. Take care. Bye.